Hello, dear friends. There is a draft of interesting news, but I always find something curious. Opinion piece. Financial botix. Generation X sandwich. Unstable global situation. Caught in the economic war. Recession could be an opportunity. Thousands of investors have withdrawn their money. British Prime Minister Truss resigns. Humanoid robot speaks in the House of Lords. Hunger makes people act irrationally. Mysterious GPS outages spread across Texas. Man befriends Bigfoot and exchange gifts. Befriends, I mean. US won't rebuild Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico. Father Christmas tomb found Santa Claus. Tomb found under the church in Turkey. Thailand temple visitors to talk to ETs on the rise. Let's start. The writers pay for the sinners in every crisis, especially those caught in a sandwich, caught in the crossfire of economic warfare, with family responsibilities. Goldman Sachs says that Generation X is caught in a financial vortex. A vortex is a whirlpool. Rising interest rates, high inflation, and a volatile market have come together to create what Goldman Sachs calls a financial vortex that is trapping many citizens in its wake, especially those of the sandwich generation who are currently dealing with aging parents and raising children. Generation X is the demographic cohort that follows the baby boomers and precedes the millennials. Researchers and the media typically use birth years between 1965 and 1981 to define this generation, although some sources use birth years beginning as early as 1960 and ending sometime between 1977 and 1985. Most members of Generation X are children of the silent generation and early boomers and are often the parents of millennials and Generation Zeta. As children in the 70s and 80s, a time of changing social values, they were sometimes called the latchkey generation due to reduced adult supervision compared to previous generations. This was the result of rising divorce rates and increased participation of mothers in the labor market, prior to the widespread availability of out-of-home childcare options. In midlife, researchers describe them as active, happy, and achieving a work-life balance. This cohort has been attributed with entrepreneurial tendencies and was the last generation for whom post-secondary education was broadly financially rewarding. Generation X comprises an estimated 18.2% of the world's population. Spain. In Spain, Generation X was born between 1971 and 1981 and are the first generation born in democracy. Born in the Spanish transition, they live in a democracy that is taking hold and a long period of stability. Their childhood and adolescence was marked by the 12 years of Felipe González's government. The success of the first transition definitively modernized Spain. They lived through the technological boom and grew up between the analog and digital worlds. They use new technologies when it is convenient for them without being addicted to them. They have been encouraged to study and have been competitive since university. They have stronger academic background and international experience than their predecessors. They are more results-oriented than presence-oriented, preferring to be valued by objectives rather than effort. They are independent, pragmatic, and flexible. They demand a balance between life and work. They are at the age of having family. They have lived through the end of the Cold War and therefore retain a certain ideological commitment. They show more turnover than previous generations. They are the famous Mileuristas. Economy. The economy is expected to enter recession in the spring. The Fitch Ratings agency estimates that the economy will enter a full-blown recession in the second quarter of 2023. However, it would be relatively mild by historical standards. Hundreds of thousands of investors have withdrawn their money and an information blackout has set in as a market implode. China holds rates at 3.65% after cutting 5 points in August. China's underground chip market attracts desperate car makers. A recession may turn out to be a great opportunity for real estate investment. South Africa proclaims that crypto assets become financial products. Europe. British Prime Minister Liz Truss resigns after 44 days in office. The policy has made her the British leader with the shortest time in office. The British Chancellor of the Exchequer cancels almost all of Truss' economic support measures. For the first time in history, a humanoid robot speaks in the House of Lords. A British humanoid called Ida has made history by becoming the first robot to speak in the House of Lords, the upper house in the UK Parliament. Ida uses cameras in its eyes and computer algorithms to process humankind's features. Hungarian Prime Minister compares European Union gas price cap to economic suicide. European Commission announces winter shelters for Ukrainians and 175 million more in aid. Spain reaches agreement with Portugal and France on the MidCat pipeline. The number of homeless Spaniards housed in centres has increased by 24.5% in 10 years. Pakistan is willing to buy Russian fuel at the price India pays. Americas. Venezuelans riot at a migrant station on Mexico's northern border. Petro calls on Latin America to establish a common agenda in the face of the migration crisis. Petro blames the US for the global economic crisis. In quotes, "They are ruining all the economies of the world," says Colombia's president. Colombian island at risk of trafficking as migrants increase. Argentina's economy grew by 0.4% in August. Argentina is seeking to conserve weather. As expected, there are hydrocarbon deposits in the Argentinian Sea, 300 kilometers off the coast of the province of Buenos Aires. The field could provide 200,000 barrels per day, 40% of the country's production. A British plan to bomb Argentina in 1982 exposed in documents. The UK considered bombing 3 cities on the Argentine mainland during the 1982 Falklands War. Mysterious discovery of Nazi submarine off Argentine coast. The wreckage of a suspected Nazi German submarine was found 4.2 kilometers off the Argentine coast. The ship could have been used by Nazi leaders to secretly reach South America after losing the Second World War. All crew members of the Venezuelan plane held in Argentina have been released. Panama promotes itself a tourist destination in Colombia and Argentina. Costa Rica reformed its marine law to develop its economy in coastal areas. USA. The US will not rebuild the collapsed historic radio telescope at the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico. Instead, the National Science Foundation will create a new educational center. Mysterious GPS outages spread across Texas. The US may have to appear before the UN Security Council over the development of biolabs on Ukrainian territory, at the request of Venezuela, Belarus, Zimbabwe, China, Nicaragua, Syria, Cuba, and Russia. On 18th October, these 8 countries appealed to Article 6 of the Biological Weapons Convention, which allows countries to submit requests to the Security Council if they are suspicions of violations of agreements by a member state. Curious. If you are over 50, you should get at least 7 hours of sleep a day. Surprising global greenhouse gas emissions appear to be declining, the International Energy Agency said on Wednesday. Santa Claus tomb found under church in Turkey. The tomb of the prototype of Father of Santa Claus, a religious man, Saint Nicholas, who lived between the 3rd and 4th centuries after Christ, was located in a church in Turkey that had been covered underwater. Science is not incorruptible, according to Paul Craig Roberts. Science is based on the search for truth and the integrity of the seeker. This foundation is fragile and corruptible. The greatest corrupter of science is money. Today, scientific experiments cost a lot of money. They can no longer be financed from the budgets of university departments of physics, chemistry, biology, and astronomy. Hunger makes people act against logic. We seem to think of ourselves as highly organized creatures. However, the rational principle of in us vanishes when it comes to the need to satisfy basic needs. Hunger makes us behave illogically and even inappropriately, and it has recently been scientifically proven. Bigfoot knows how to make friends. Blogger Casey Doster from Michigan claims that he managed to befriend a Bigfoot, and they even exchange gifts with each other. He says he leaves small gifts for a Bigfoot, usually something edible. In return, his friend leaves simple handicrafts there. As proof, the contactee shows some of these gadgets on his TikTok channel. According to Casey, the Bigfoot hides in the forest, waiting for the person to leave after leaving offerings. Unstable weather situation. Vedic astrologer Katyayani Devi Dasi says that by the end of 2022, political conflict between the countries of the world will pass a tipping point in the redistribution of the boundaries of superpower influence. According to her, in the period from 16 to 22nd October, something large-scale would happen in the world. Now, political leaders and ordinary people are beginning to see the mistakes of the decisions made by some states in late 2021 and early 2022. Forecast for Russia. Astrologer Svetlana Dragana says the stars indicate that important moments for Russia will be 28 November and early February 2023. The turning point will come in the spring of 2023. Mystery in Thailand. Every year, the number of visitors to the Thai temple Khao Kala, which is located in the town of Nakhon Sawan, just 3 hours north of Bangkok, increases. And the reason for this is not the interest in Buddhism, but the fact that there would be the opportunity to communicate personally with extraterrestrials, allegedly. And that is all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.